What keeps you awake at night?
Sea levels are rising globally.
Fears fueled by horror stories.
Among the worst flu season in a decade, and it hasn't peaked yet.
We all know the atomic bomb is very dangerous.
Another series of deadly terror attacks.
I don't want to be blamed if you cannot get to sleep tonight.
Well, my friends, this might be a surprise for you because it's a mini-sode and not a heavy hitter. Some things have transpired since the tweet when I promised that we'd be talking about a crazy cover-up on the 29th. One, Brooke is having a lovely time with her boyfriend's family in Florida. She got to have a little bit of a break so she can enjoy Christmas. And two, we also wanted to do something Christmassy, like a Christmas movie, and we didn't get the opportunity to do it before because we didn't think about it. So this is great because not only does Brooke get to enjoy some well-deserved time off, we are also chilling after watching The Hunting Ground, which really put Brie in a wonderful headspace for this mini-sode. And we're going to be talking about...
what's it officially called? Star Wars, a holiday special?
Yes, the holiday special for Star Wars. So this is going to be really interesting. I have never seen a Star Wars movie.
So yeah, just to put it forward, starting this episode.
Sorry, I have to redirect your head.
No, you're fine.
Go.
So just putting this forward as the start of this episode, I originally suggested Krampus, like something scary that we could watch, but was still good and we can do commentary on, and then... Olivia and Brooke said, oh, what about this movie? There's a Star Wars special that's a Christmas theme that was produced by PBS. It was a long time ago. It's super cheesy, super bad. We can watch it, make fun of it. And I went, sure, I'm up for it. Now, this is the only problem. It was so god-awful that I do not know where to start. Because usually we highlight by saying, oh, like, this is the summary, these are the major plot points. There's absolutely nothing to stem from here.
Yeah, there's no plot points. So as somebody who's never seen the movies before, because I've slept through them all, I know every Star Wars fan is, like, recoiling as I say that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to summarize what I understood to be the plot. So, the bears...
Oh, my God.
The bear family, the Wookiees. Okay, so the bears, the mom bear and the baby bear, the grandpa bear, were all having a Christmas, waiting for the guy.
Do you want me to summarize?
No, I got this. The dad bear, the Wookiee.
Okay.
The what's his name?
Chewbacca.
And they wait for him, and at some point, about an hour in, after having a lovely Christmas morning for a full hour, which is wild, they get, I guess, like, the police come for maybe, like, 25 minutes.
Okay.
And then he gets home. Now, if you're wondering how that translates to an hour and a half of content, we're also trying to kind of parse that ourselves because essentially what would happen is they would set up the scene, which it was a artistic choice to select the one character that can't speak anything other than roar. I don't know how to make his noise. Are you going to make his noise?
No, it's funny because I'm a Star Wars fan. My dad raised me on Star Wars growing up, so, like, I understand Star Wars, but Olivia's never seen any of the films, so I'm listening to her summary, trying not to interrupt or chime in, but I'm clearly very frustrated.
Okay, I mean, is there really, truly any content I could have added to that?
Well, no, but to give a summary, or at least my summary, it was Chewbacca and Han Solo are on the Millennium Falcon, and they're having some trouble running into the Empire, and so Han Solo is trying to get Chewbacca back to his family for Life Day, which is, I guess, in the Star Wars universe, their version of Christmas.
Yeah, in the beginning, I was kind of stoked to know that Christianity was very, very successful.
Yeah.
100 years from now, successful enough to be pervasive in,
well,
like,
it's a long
space.
time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Oh, I thought it was in the future.
No, it's in the past.
What?
Yeah, it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far
that.
away. You know, it's just the opening to any Star Wars film or any of the lore.
Do they say that
very
every time?
Yeah. So it's the screen rolls up.
Like,
and
I thought
it's
it was
the
just in
yellow
the
text.
first one. They said that every
No.
time.
So, but basically, the whole goal is for Han Solo to return Chewie back to his family. And his family is he has his wife and his son, because apparently Chewbacca has a son now, and like a grandfather figure in the household, and they're trying to get Chewbacca to return. But since Chewbacca is a rebel and is against the Force, or not against the Force, against the Empire, sorry. What an idiot I am. They basically search his whole house and kind of reprimand the son and the wife or whatever, and then eventually Chewbacca comes home and all is defeated and it's fine. They get to celebrate a life day with the whole gang, Princess Leia and Chewbacca and his family.
God, that was just a fucking trip.
Well, it's just, so basically that's a plot point of the movie, except it's horrific and drawn out for an hour and a half.
Yeah, because, like, that's the thing, is, like, that is the shortest, like, that could have been, like, a 15-minute minisode kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what happened would be, like, they'd be like, oh, man, we're waiting. Well, you know what we're going to do while we're going to wait? We're going to show a little clip of something irrelevant. So I think the first clip was what Brie called their Nutcracker, which was, like, the Cirque du Soleil people as a hologram performing on, like, a little chessboard, which was weird and lasted like 5 full minutes.
Let's just talk about the quality of this movie. First and foremost, it's not up to any of the par of the quality of the other Star Wars films. The actual Wookiees in the movie have horrible makeup. And just basically the first, I want to say 15 minutes of the movie is them just communicating to each other in a language that we don't understand. So
oh my
we all
God,
have
which
to
was so taxing.
Yeah.
Because, like, they have to go over the top with their, like, physical motions, which nobody would talk like. They would just use their words, but obviously because they can't speak English. And they couldn't even put fucking subtitles. I guess it's part of the lore, but...
Yeah, but, like, also, and it is part of the lore, but, you know, usually Han Solo's always there with Chewie to translate what he's saying, and it's part of the bit, you know? But there was no one there to translate, so it was just, like, weird gendered roles.
Yeah.
Where the mom was cooking in the kitchen and trying to watch, like, this intergalactic, like, basically, like,
Julia Child, which
yeah.
was just a man in drag blackface.
Oh, he was in blackface.
Okay, I would say so the argument is that it was alien makeup. But I'm sorry.
No,
it was one, like, they weren't doing the caricature style, like, blackface thing, but it was... Look up the picture. We're going to post it on the Instagram.
Yeah, we can post it on the Instagram. But basically, so that starts off and it's already horrific. And so, but you're like, okay, maybe the storyline, you know, maybe it goes somewhere. And then it moves to the son playing with a toy where he's just watching a hologram of, like, what seems like a weird, like, Cirque du Soleil thing that Olivia was mentioning before, but it's like their Christmas type of thing. And it's like, you don't know any of the lore, any of the backstory of any of this. So, you know, you're just kind of going through it with no clue what the fuck is going on. And
yeah, it doesn't advance the plot. For the first half of the film, you're wondering how these segments advance the plot until you realize that they don't. They're literally just like, we need to integrate something that people find interesting, and apparently that's Cirque du Soleil in the 80s. So they integrated Cirque du Soleil, then they had drag blackface. What were the other segments that they had? Oh, they had the dad watching, the grandpa watching porn in the living room.
So that was real. Basically, there's a toy maker. Is he like a mechanic?
Yeah, he's like a mechanic and kind of weird. I guess that was kind of part of the plot. But
yeah.
He was supposed to be like a background mechanic who knew the family intimately, and he like randomly arrives in their treehouse thing
to drop off a Life Day present because it's Life Day.
All right.
Which fine, sure. And I can understand where they're trying to go because, you know, like, how would they have Christmas in a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, you know? But also, what? Anyway, right, so he comes and he's dropping off, like, batteries for a kid's toy or something for them and gets trapped in all of this mayhem when the Empire eventually comes to, like, just raid their home. So basically, the mechanic comes in with this, like, what would be the equivalent of today's VR headset, but, you know, it's more clunky and weird because it's the 70s version of the future.
Yes.
And he goes, oh, like, this is a real treat for you, you know, Grandpa, here you go. and he puts the headset on him, and it's basically him watching a weird, a woman perform, I guess, sing in a sense of way, but it's very erotic.
Yeah.
And it's clear that it's really erotic, and they make that clear, in that she's his fantasy, and that he can do whatever he wants to her. And then, that clip just ends, and they move on with the holiday special.
Now, you're talking about the cartoon?
Oh, well, I was gonna say, also then we start to see familiar faces like Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia and Han Solo.
Yeah, that's like part of background for like, that's actual plot that's happening. It's like, but it's super random, and I only understand the significance of those clips looking back now that I've completely finished the holiday special. Like, it's like the mom is like calling everyone on Chewie's contact list, like, hi, he hasn't made it home yet. Has anybody seen him? No, I'm just working on this machine, as Luke Skywalker like turns like an invisible screwdriver.
Right.
Just bizarre random clips, and then interrupted by clearly just random performance segments that they want to integrate in there for the audience, which is bizarre, and which also I want to say that they didn't need. No. Because as it is without commercials, it was an hour and a half, which was far too long. So I can only imagine that with commercials, this had to be 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Right? Which is so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like, it's very apparent that they're doing stuff to stretch time, like in the blackface drag thing. The character says, whisk, stir, whisk, stir, whisk, stir, for, like, a full 2 minutes.
Swear to God. It's just you watching a fake cooking video. So then there's a scene where it's explaining some of the plot. Is the animation before...
No, that's after the episode. So then the Empire arrives at the house to raid it for some reason. Oh, right. Question mark, question mark, question mark. And while they are at their house, baby Chewie is like, this is the perfect time for me to watch cartoons.
Yeah, absolutely.
While our house is being raided.
Absolutely.
So he's watching cartoons, and it's an animated cartoon of Leia and Skywalker and everything like that. But then you realize, like, halfway through, oh shit, this is supposed to be the background of, like, what's happening in this special. But, like, as a cartoon, while it's happening, so, like, my question is there like, a live animation studio that's, like, getting calls in for what's happening? Like, and they're, like, animating it and immediately sending it to, like, in Baby Chewie in particular? Or, like, they're broadcasting it, which seems like a breach of security, but that's...
That's a whole nother...
That's an aside. The plot, though, in this cartoon is hysterical. So, they get a transmission from Chewie and, who's Chewie's translator? Han Solo.
Oh my gosh.
And in the video, Chewie is, like, talking in his language, and Han Solo is hanging upside down from the ceiling. And they're like, what? And so some bullshit happens. Boba Fett arrives. They get to the ship. And for some reason, Chewie throws an amulet, like, out of the airlock. At which point, Luke Skywalker collapses. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
And so then Chewie hangs him upside down by his feet. And they're like, what are you doing? And Chewie explains, and is then translated, that the amulet causes human life forms to fall asleep, and the only way to wake them up is by hanging them upside down to get the blood to rush to their head.
Now, no. So, yeah, and the whole cartoon is basically, and then it goes, and it's like they're on a mission to, like, I forgot what the actual plot of the mission or where they're going is.
Fair.
I think they're going to rescue Han and Chewie.
But then they're, like, in somewhere else for some reason.
Right. But basically, Boba Fett is there. And for those of you who know Star Wars, Boba Fett is a bounty hunter that works for the Empire. And so, he's not a big fan of Luke Skywalker. Or Han Solo, for that matter, because they're dirty rebels, right? So he has a transmission to Darth Vader, where he talks to Darth Vader about his plan in capturing the rebels, but somehow it gets his transmission to Darth Vader is streamed back to the ship so that way they can see what he's talking about. But the transmission is so poorly acted, there's no way to describe it.
Like, it's literally the closest to Boba Fett going, I am going to kill them, Darth Vader, my boss, and, like, Darth Vader going, yes, Boba Fett, my friend who works for the Empire, thank you, Boba Fett, for killing them, these people, my friend Boba Fett. And they're like, I think he works for the Empire. And I'm like, are you...
Yes! Clearly! They've said it 3 times now.
So wild.
Yeah, and so basically the animation ends and then they get away and it's showing that they're like live feed of them getting away, but somehow it's animated.
Now, also my favorite in the question that Bree asked was Boba Fett, who is a mercenary bounty hunter, when they realize that Boba Fett is actually working for the Empire, he just backs out of the room and leaves and says, this isn't the last you've heard of me. Ugh. Which I feel like a bounty hunter wouldn't do, but okay, to each their own. Yeah, that was bizarre. And then, like, Baby Chewie, like, hides it from the commanders. And then we get to the electronics repair scene.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is by far my favorite segment in this special. So, apparently, they go through Baby Chewie's room in particular and rip apart all his toys for, again, a reason I'm not quite sure I understand.
Right.
And then they tell him to go clean it up and then lean to the mother and say that'll keep him busy for a while, in a way as if it's like they're helping her out so she can finally get this roast done that she's been working on since the beginning of the special. And he goes in there and then picks up something random and starts assembling a toy.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this scene is pure acid trip. It's this man pretending to be a droid, but, like, a really poorly made droid. Right. So, like, every 5 minutes, his voice would get all modulated like he was running out of energy, and then he'd use the tools that he was using to make the toy and, like, tune himself up. Right. It was horrifying.
If you ever want to see a droid malfunctioning and trying to explain how mythological technology works, for 10 minutes... You can go ahead and watch this film.
10 minutes, my guy.
Yeah, it was just a lot.
And also, he was constructing a translator.
Yeah.
Why?
There's a lot of different languages.
Yeah, okay, but see, here's my thing, is he never actually... He spends 10 minutes constructing this, right?
Right.
And then never uses it.
No, again, just kind of pushing the plot along... it doesn't even help the plot, though. It's just...
Yeah, that's what was confusing to me, is at some point I realized that this was to translate, and then I was like, he's gonna use it to translate to talk to, the Empire that doesn't invade his home. Okay, I'm buying into this. Never uses it.
Nope.
Does he just not figure out how to put it together? Is that...
No, he's just, he's just figuring out.
Well, the ending is a blur. I honestly don't remember a lot of it, because I remember at some point at the droid part, my brain was just like, there's not enough space in here to take this in. So I remember they eventually leave. Oh, because Jefferson Airplane started playing. Now
oh my god, I forgot about the Jefferson Airplane bit. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so that sentence sounds insane out of context. But at some point, the guy who delivered the porn machine is like, whoa, I hope you guys don't treat them poorly. And they're like, you're not the boss of us. And he's like, well, I'm just gonna go make some food in the kitchen. Anybody want anything? And they're like, no, sir, you need to leave the premises immediately. He's like, what if I showed you this thing? Now, this thing was... They essentially took, like, random scrap metal and then, like, glued it together and then glued knobs on it.
Right.
Which is hysterical that's what technology looks like. Oh, as an aside, just as a quick callback, my favorite part of the cartoon was that in this, place where you can travel through space and time, they had headphones that plugged into the seats because,
Oh, God, yeah.
you know, they could imagine traveling through space and time, but apparently wireless headphones were like,
Too extreme.
that's too much.
That's
and
too
so
much of a jump in
it's
technology.
the same kind of concept in this of like, you're telling me like they still have buttons in like this place where they whatever. I'm letting
Yeah,
it go.
yeah.
Little things.
Right.
So then he gets the commander of this troop to watch Jefferson Airplane perform in a square. Now, I want to say this is my favorite part because I love Jefferson Airplane.
Sure.
I have no complaints about Jefferson Airplane, okay? I just want to say that. But my point stands. What does this have to do with the plot, right?
Absolutely nothing. The whole entire time it was just them singing into a lightsaber microphone with cool guitar effects and like weird lighting, and it was like a fun and pleasant experience.
Oh, I loved it. It was definitely hands down the best part of the entire hour and a half segment.
But had nothing to do with any sort of storyline or plot. And then we get to a Cantana scene.
Yes. Which had rapey themes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, definitely not 2018 friendly.
No. It's basically, so it's the famous cantina that they go into. And, you know, the whole band's there, everyone's playing and having a good time, but the Empire says that they have to shut it down because, you know, everyone's on curfew, they're all on lockdown searching for these rebels, right? But in the bar scene, they are, okay, so the props that they use for future technology are just industrial buckets stacked on top of each other, duct taped together, and you're like,
I swear to God, we're not joking.
Yeah.
It was literally plastic, like, clearish buckets.
And that's it. And then the scene is the person who's the bartender is trying to kick all the patrons out of the bar, but they're refusing to leave by just turning their faces against her. Like, they're just, like, looking the other way, acting as if, like, that's just gonna be enough to not be kicked out of this bar. So she's desperately trying to get them to leave so that way she's not disobeying the Empire, right?
Now, my question is,
Right.
now if I were a barmaid and this was my bar and I didn't want to get shot in the street because I
Right.
assume the Empire doesn't play games.
No.
I would just stop serving beer and turn off the lights and be like, nope, fuck y'all, please get out of my bar. Her solution was to lead a musical number and then use choreography to get them out of the bar.
There were multiple musical numbers in this, which, why?
Yeah.
Star Wars has never had a musical number. Shouldn't have
There were
musical
at least
numbers.
four. There were at least four. If you include Jefferson Airplane, there was at least four.
If you include Jefferson Airplane. But so, and then also during this time, there's a man who's trying to pursue the bartender. And
He has a hole in his head and he drinks in the hole in his head, which was again a very strange artistic choice, but
well, basically, yeah, he had like a volcano of a haircut was the only way to describe it. And she just kept pouring alcohol into his little volcano, and then he would get drunk.
But he had a mouth as well.
But he was like a human, it was like a human being of sorts, but then he had a volcano head thing that he would drink from, so that was fine. But he was always trying to flirt with her and was just making constant advances at her, and she kept saying, no, I don't date. I'm not interested. No, thank you. But he was the last patron in the bar, and because he handed her a flower, it made everything all right. Which, again, not great.
No, not 2018 friendly.
No.
That was at least a 15-minute skit, right?
Yeah,
That was 15 minutes.
All of it, the bulk of it was taken up by just, like, distractions and things that weren't important, which I get, like, during a holiday special, it's about, like, musical numbers or, like, whatever, but, like, it'd be fine if
I
it
knew
was,
what was going on.
Yeah, or even remotely relevant to the plot of Star Wars. But it wasn't. It was a clusterfuck of things that were attempting to be an alien holiday, which definitely were not. And then also, like, a mix of the Empire and Rebels, poor stage makeup, underfunded. It was just a waste of time. I've never in my life witnessed a movie with that little plot and was able to get away with it. It was just horrific. It was the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, you're forgetting the best part.
Which was?
The ending.
Oh, right.
So, now, I want to preface this by saying I thought the movie ended 3 separate times. The first time Chewie gets home and they, like, Wookiee hug or whatever, because I don't think they have, like, the skills and prosthetics to, like, make them kiss. So,
yeah.
They Wookiee hug, and then all the other characters leave, and then the Wookiees hold it seemed to be light bulbs that glowed.
Yeah, it was like an orb.
Like a glass orb. And then they, like, held them up together and then held them up to the sky and held for, like, maybe 15, 20 seconds, and it faded out. And I literally reached for the remote in relief, but then it cuts and fades to them all walking in robes across the background of a galaxy holding these orbs, like 20 Wookiees. And then it, like, fades in and out with, like, random orbs and psychedelic effects. And then cuts to them in a tree place. And then Leia is giving a speech on how they all need to come together. Some holiday message. Where they start singing, which was bizarre. And all the Wookiees are in weird robes, which seems a little culty.
Yeah, it was very cult vibe.
I really can't... Like, Carrie Fisher talked a lot about how she had severe drug problems. I can't imagine that she was not high in the scene, because she looked not all there.
I mean, my whole thing is it was just horrific from start to end.
Yeah,
I wish I was high during that
Yeah,
scene.
that's the first thing you said is, I'm not high, but I wish I was.
Yes.
Yeah, it was confusing. It was kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
She looked not all there. She looked very out of it. All
Right.
of the other characters, I swear to God, it looked like they were checking their watches while she was singing.
What did Mark Hamill say about this whole thing?
He said, I knew it was a mistake from the
very
beginning.
yeah.
And so then it cuts to Chewie.
Good job. Okay, here we go.
Staring directly at the camera.
Right.
And then it fades out.
Right. And you're like, thank God.
Yeah, but he also stares at the camera for, I swear to God, 30 straight seconds.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then fades out. Fades back in, and you're like, what the fuck? How is this shit not done? And they're back in the living room, right? Are they back in the living room holding the orbs again?
Yes.
And
he's with his son.
Yeah, and then it fades out. And then it's done.
Right.
So we've completely summarized the film.
That's it.
That's the whole film. So if we could answer some of the questions that we usually do, what's one good thing about the film? I'm going to say mine. Jefferson Airplane.
It was going to be Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah, Jefferson Airplane. Love Jefferson Airplane. No complaints. Love Jefferson Airplane.
Right.
What's yours?
Harrison Ford.
Yeah, cute man. He was only there a little bit, but
Loved
cute.
him. They really did fuck him over during the animation scene, though. I don't know who was the animator.
Oh my God.
I don't know who was the animator
He's
for that scene.
just nose.
It's all nose. He like they royally fucked up his face for that animation. You're like, ooh, that's the most handsome man was Harrison Ford in the 70s.
And it was like his full face was nose, and his eyes weren't even open.
Yeah.
Which was bizarre. That was a choice.
Okay,
So then what's your least favorite? One thing.
I have to contemplate. I mean, it's horrific. I guess the fact that there was no form of plot, just none.
Yeah.
There was no effort put into it. They were like, let's put a Star Wars filter on this shit and try to push out. And it wasn't even like, that's the thing is it wasn't even a holiday themed. It was a fake day themed that didn't even stick to the fake day. And they just threw Star Wars on top of it with cheap effects, low funding, Mark Hamill in horrific makeup, and just, I want to say tried their best, but they did not.
They did not put in their best
No.
like, I think my least favorite part, I think definitely the scene where the android is trying to construct something, because it literally gave me anxiety with how long it was being drawn out. Yeah. I checked how long was left in the movie like 3 times during that 10-minute segment alone. That was my least favorite. What was the moment in the movie you were watching this and you knew that it was going to be a dumpster fire? because mine, and I'll answer first, when they were doing the introduction, because again, I've never seen Star Wars, so like I don't know who's in it. They were doing the introduction, and they're like, Carrie Fisher, Wookiee, Harrison Ford.
Wookiee.
I don't even think no, I swear to God, they did not put his name. I think they put Chewie. I think they
Chewbacca, yeah, that's his name.
Yeah, but I don't think they put his name. I think everybody else, they put their character name, but they just put Chewbacca.
Oh, well, because no one knows the actual actor's name. Yeah, okay, that's fair and relevant.
Yeah, so like, they're going through all of the actors' names. Then they put, like, the guy in there that's the traitor and...
Boba Fett?
No, not Boba Fett. The traitor, the random guy who brought over the porn machine.
Oh,
yeah,
right,
they introduced him, and you're like, Brie went, I don't really recognize him. And it just, like, kept descending. It was like this random singer, Jefferson Airplane, and Brie goes, what in the fuck? And like, the introduction has like 8 other characters that have never been in the Star Wars series,
right?
And I knew that it was going to be a dumpster fire when I look at Brie's face, and she has like, I have no fucking idea who these people are, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a mess.
Yeah, the introduction of new side characters that have no relevance to me was the part where I went, oh no.
That's when you knew it was going to be on?
Yeah.
I also love that the introduction included a 2-minute long advertisement for their merchandise.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I actually thought that they had cut out, like, I thought they left in all of the commercials when we first started watching it, and I realized that wasn't a commercial, it was part of the introduction.
Well, the merch was pretty sick. That's the one thing I will say. No, that's my favorite part of the movie. My favorite part of the movie is that the merch was fucking dope. It was cool merch. It was like these little toys, and there was like a light game. I mean, like, for the time being, they had some pretty cool Star Wars toys that I would have been into as a kid, but that's about it. Olivia's staring at me with such confusion.
Yeah, it was a fucking fever dream. All of the actors did not want to be there. It was so clear it was so clear. They all didn't want to be there. Mark Hamill looked angry from the beginning. In that first clip, he looked like exhausted when the camera fell on him.
Absolutely. I think that it was overall a horrible, horrible, horrible choice. Because the franchise was already so huge, you know what I mean?
I also you said this was between 4 and 5?
You know what, I'm not quite sure when it was, but I know that the movies had to be, at this point, at least a little bit popular, because I know when the first movie came out...
It has to be between 5 and 6.
Yeah, because I know when the first movie came out, it was, like, gonna be this huge flop, and everyone predicted, including the actors in the film, that it was gonna be this huge flop. I mean, Harrison Ford, for God's sakes, was a construction worker. He had no experience in Hollywood or was an actor, and George Lucas saw him and was like, hey, you're rugged and handsome, you know, like... let's be in this movie together. And so then when it became a success, they weren't expecting it. And the reason why I know that this was a little bit after their success was because the merchandise, they were pumping out merchandise. They were trying to sell that shit. So I think that this was a little bit after their success happened. But I don't know. It was just a bad choice made overall. And hands down, I can say confidently 100% of my heart, it was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, okay, so what's your rating?
0. It doesn't get a single star from me. Absolutely
Because
not.
of Jefferson Airplane, I'm giving it a half a star.
Are you fucking serious?
I love Jefferson Airplane!
The silence that you hear is just disappointment. It's just, I mean, like, yeah, they were fine. It was just horrific.
Okay, Jefferson Airplane was incredible.
There's no point for them to even be there.
Okay, but was it not good?
There was no point for them to be there.
But their performance alone, was it a good performance?
Yeah, I guess.
See?
It's not worth the watch. Please do not watch this.
No, please. I actually am not joking. Like, I know we said, like, don't watch, like, the last 2 movies, but please don't watch
do
this.
not support this.
You will never be able to get that hour and a half of your life back.
That's the first thing I said at the end of the movie. I looked at Olivia, I looked in her eyes and went, well, 90 minutes of my life gone. That's cool. Thank you for that. Yeah, no, I think that honestly, people are going to be really confused if they listen to this podcast. They've never seen the movie before, but I'm just as confused as you are.
Yeah, you are not going to be able to watch this and go, now I understand what they're talking about, because you're going to be even more confused knowing that it exists.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrific, and it's a waste of my time, as well as Harrison Ford's and Carrie Fisher's and every actor.
I honestly, like, and this is coming from somebody who doesn't really, like, watch the Star Wars, seeing that this
what
the Star Wars is that
the Star Wars yeah.
just like because I haven't watched Star Wars, but I watched Carrie Fisher's special, and she talked about like her recovery and everything like that. Watching this really contextualized how draining the series must have been on her.
Oh yeah,
and like that's why I made that comment of like she does not look all there, because like I know that they at least had the life beaten the fuck out of them doing all these movies. Like none of them were like, this seems like a fun idea. They did the first 3 movies and they did the prequels. They did garbage like this. I think they all voiced for any cartoons that existed during that time period.
Well, which is all fine. I think that, like, they genuinely enjoyed Star Wars. I just think that also, like, I don't know, this film in particular couldn't have been the shining star of that series.
I guess just watching it really makes me, like, the sheer commercialism in this was so sobering. Like, it was just, hey, people who have jobs and families and responsibilities, please take time out of your day to, like, make this. Why? We want to make advertisements for Christmas. That's all it was.
Right, and it definitely was that. It definitely was that. And it kind of just, as someone who was a Star Wars fan, I was just very, very disappointed.
It was just so taxing, and I can't imagine what it must have been like to do it.
And it's so sad that Olivia's first Star Wars experience was this fucking
it
movie.
just really was one of those things where you're like, I'm sure people watch Star Wars films and they leave happy, and then I left this, whatever this was, with a sobering view of reality and about how this franchise has drained the life out of its stars, which is what keeps me up at night.
Yeah, honestly, that's what we learned from it.
Love Carrie Fisher. Miss her to pieces. Glad the rest of the cast is doing fine. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, the rest of the cast is doing fine.
Looks at me, right?
Harrison Ford is still cute.
Harrison Ford is doing it.
Still cute.
Such a dad.
Mark Hamill is adorable.
I love Mark Hamill. He's actually done a lot of voice acting since then, too. I believe that he was the voice of the Joker.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad they diversified from this, because, like, oh, man, I have mad respect that they were able to continue doing these films after doing this.
Well, yeah.
Thing.
I mean, this was just a travesty.
Oh man!
And you look up a lot of like alone the Wookiees practical effects were just horrific.
Yeah,
so
it was weird because they used Chewbacca's original costume that was already made, and his was looked really good.
Right.
And then you get to his families, and it was like I wanted to believe that their hair was just like combed with a boar bristle brush and like really distributed with like natural oils and really soft, but it was just that it was cheap polyester fur. And oh my god, the zoom-ins, I almost forgot to talk about the zoom-ins. I think that just my last thing, if anybody's ever played Oblivion or Fallout New Vegas, in New Vegas they have the gentle zoom in into people's faces, and in Oblivion they have the really jarring zoom in on people's faces whenever you talk to them in the game. That's what it was like. They did these random, really jarring zoom-ins on Chewie's family because they couldn't speak English. Mm-hmm. So to compensate for that, they would just zoom in on their faces going like, oh! Yeah. And you're like...
And them trying to emote in heavy prosthetic. Yeah, it was a lot. So if you ever want a lot of reaction images, that's a perfect film for them to pull in. Yeah.
To segue, as we said, that Brooke is not here today, and she so badly wanted to talk about this film because she also loves Star Wars. So this was horrible for her to watch. I believe she's starting a Star Wars podcast soon.
Ooh.
So, we're gonna let her segue in, and she has like a little clip of audio that she's gonna, feverishly yell about how much she hated this. So we're just gonna transition that into here.
Hey everybody, I am in Florida right now with some family celebrating the holidays, so I am unfortunately not there. I know, that's really heartbreaking because I am your favorite host at Things That Keep Me Up at Night. Don't tell the others. But here are my talking points for the Star Wars Holiday Special because I wanted to be in on this. It is a train wreck, but it's a beautiful train wreck. So here are all the things that I wrote down while watching it. First and foremost, the fact that nothing happens except an unintelligible Brady Bunch episode with roaring instead of dialogue. Several somebodies okayed that, thought that was a good choice. The fact that Luke poor thing looks like a badly retouched corpse. Sorry, Mark Hamill, but it's true. Your eyeliner, sir. I'm sorry for you. The traitor, whose only point was to mumble and waffle around, and somehow that works for the non-existent plot. Possibly blackface Harvey Korman making everybody uncomfortable by whisking and stirring for 10 minutes. Han Solo's sudden emotional literacy, saying that Chewie's family is just like his family. And then the very, very long and very, very sexually charged look between Chewbacca and his wife. Carrie Fisher, who famously remembers none of this film, holding onto every set piece with a vice grip to keep from falling over in her drug-induced haze. Wookiee porn. And then Chewbacca possibly threatening to murder his family. We don't know, because we don't speak Wookiee. And then having PTSD flashbacks at the end. B. Arthur getting sexually harassed and then singing a cabaret number, which is somehow the best part of the whole film. 15 minutes, I counted, of watching Lumpy watch a how-to-assemble video, and it doesn't ever come back. It never matters. Nothing in this movie matters. And did I mention Wookiee porn? Seriously, it is so clear that the grandpa is rocking a huge boner that they could have not made it any more obvious. I hate it. And finally, Lumpy is the stuff of nightmares, and his existence in our world is the reason why we are doomed as a species. This is also the best movie I've ever seen, and if you haven't seen it, it's fun for the whole family, except for the Wookiee porn. It's weird. Okay. Have fun. This episode is going to be great. I trust Brie and Olivia implicitly with the beauty that is the Star Wars Holiday Special. I love you. Enjoy!
Well, we're not going to know what that is until it's been edited and in post, but I bet it was very coherent.
We mean great thoughts, Brooke.
Great thoughts.
Incredible. Do we want to do our little spiel that we do of every end?
Yes. Please like and review our podcast on iTunes. Much appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Subscribe to us.
And that gives us a huge boost. And download the episodes. Don't stream them. That would really help as well. Also, if you want to interact with us, we're hashtag at TTKMeUp. On Instagram and Twitter, and we have a website, ttkmeup.com. We're very active on Twitter and Instagram,
yes.
So tag us. We're always tracking the hashtag ttkmeup.
If you want to donate to Patreon as well.
We do have a Patreon linked to our website.
And that would be very incredible of you.
Yes.
Other than that, we have our new heavy hitter starts next week.
Mm-hmm.
And we will start it next week. So yeah, I'm very excited.
It's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be crazy. Olivia has been hyping hers up.
I'm so tired. Yeah, it was honestly, like, as taxing as this was to watch, it was such a relief compared to what I've been doing, because we're doing CIA cover-ups and conspiracies, and Brie was really worried that there would be a shortage of sources, and I definitely found about 400 pages worth of reading that I've been doing from, like, top secret PDF files. And it's a lot.
It's a lot.
So we're going to love that. That's going to be a post-Christmas. That'll be like a new year. We're going to be ringing in the new year with
CIA cover-ups.
With horrible, deplorable things.
Absolutely.
Which is the way we like to
Starting
do it.
2019, right?
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, guys, for listening. We always appreciate you. I'll see you next time.
Love you.
Bye.